Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. All right, welcome back to the channel. Once again, we're at the Georgia Gun Club's 100-yard indoor rifle range, and today I'm shooting my Sako S20 6.5 Creedmoor, and here's a picture of a group that we shot last time out. This is at 35 thousandths off of the rifling, so what I have done is I have loaded up rounds at 3 thousandths below and 3 thousandths above that seating depth at 32, 35, and 38 thousandths off of the rifling. And also, I had a problem a long time ago with the case mouth flaring on the Lapua brass. So what I got was a Forster honed die that has an expander mandrel, but you can use it with or without the expander. And so it's honed so that when you just resize that die, it pushes it up in there and it compresses the case mouth to the right size that you need for seating that bullet. It also came with an expander mandrel, and there's about 3 thousandths difference in the neck tension between sizing it with and without the expander mandrel. So what I have done, I have loaded targets at 32, 35, and 38 thousandths without the expander mandrel and with the expander mandrel, and we will compare those two to see how they perform, to see if there's any difference. As always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results that follow, shooting at 100 yards. I think the expander ball definitely made a difference between the two, so let's bring them in and take a look. All right, so this was at 32, 35, and 38 thousandths off of the rifling without the expander.
I thought you wasn't never going to stop
same
saying
load,
mandrel.
same group with the expander. Look at here, you've got probably 1.25 inches here and under 1 inch here, probably close to 1.5 inches here, right at 1 inch here. This is about the same as here on the extreme spread. But anyway, we will take these home, measure these, and get back to you with the results, so hang tight. All right, I'm back from the range with my results. In a previous target, I shot this group with my 6.5 Creedmoor, where I was 35 thousandths off of the rifling. I had a 1.06 inch group with a best 4 out of 5 at 0.67, and I had 3 out of 5 shots clustered together right there at about 0.4 of an inch. So I decided to expand on this a little bit. So I decided to load rounds at 32 thousandths, 35 thousandths, and 38 thousandths off the rifling to see what I could do. Here's a video about my die and my expander. There's a link to a video below where I had a problem previously with my 6.5 Creedmoor with my dies flaring the case mouth. Somebody suggested I get one of these Forster honed dies, and this one is custom honed out to 0.288 inches. Now, it came with an expander ball, which I typically don't use. So the purpose for this is this allows you to size your case, and it simply squeezes that neck size down, but it doesn't run an expander up through there. So if you compare the ones that are just sized here with the ones where I use the expander, here's one at 0.2545, Here's another at 0.257. Here's another at 2.56. And of course, the bullet diameter is 2.64. When I run this through the expander, now we're at 2.60, 0.260. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of an expansion in that case mouth. So what I decided to do was to shoot some additional targets at 32, 35, and 38 thousandths off the rifling. So I loaded 5 rounds at each of those seating depths. So for one group, I used my regular reloading process, which did not include the expander ball. And so for the other group, I loaded rounds using the expander ball. And so here are the results of that test. Okay, so with no expander at 32 thousandths off of the rifling, I've got a group of 1.29 inches. And so I had an average velocity of 2851.7, an extreme spread of 13.7, and a standard deviation of 6.8. With the expander ball, that group tightened up. It went from 1.29 to 0.86. The velocity and standard deviations on these are about the same. It didn't change much. The velocity here is 2843 with an extreme spread of 30.1 and a standard deviation of 11. When we go to 35 thousandths off the rifling without the expander ball, I had a group of 1.03 inches, an average velocity of 2837, an extreme spread of 11.1, and a standard deviation of only 4.2. With the expander ball, that same group at 35 thousandths off the rifling had an extreme spread of 0.61. And I also measured the mean radius on this, which was 0.24 inches. And of course, a radius is half of a circle. So if you double that, that means you've got an average group size of 0.48 inches. So just under a half an inch on an average group size. And you see how tightly these 5 shots are clustered together. So we had a standard deviation of 5.4. So if I'm going to load these in the future, I'm going to continue to use that 35 thousandths off the rifling with the expander. With no expander at 38 thousandths off the rifling, we had a group of 1.28 inches, an average velocity of 2849.4, an extreme spread of 26.8, a standard deviation of only 8.8. With the expander ball, again, the group tightened up, so this time it was 1.13 with an average velocity of 2846, an extreme spread of 24.4, and a standard deviation of 8.1. So I think where I'm going to want to focus here is on this 35 thousandths off the rifling and with the expander in use. So I think with practice, I can probably get that group size down a little bit. I might need to experiment a little bit more with seating depth and with the use of the expander. There are also expander dies, so I may have to look into that,
Here we
because
go.
if just using that expander improved these groups this much, we could probably get that down even further. All right, so those are my results for the day. I hope you find this information helpful. If you have any ideas, thoughts, suggestions, or questions, please leave those in the comments below. I try to interact with everybody that comments. I hope you will like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.